Well, hello, hello. I usually say hello to Andrew and we bicker and banter for a few minutes, but we're going to jump right into today's association transformation. We're going to get to the meat of it, and I'm very excited. I consider myself who's not a fan of recruitment and retention and all of those important R words in the membership space. But today we
Sure.
have the the experts in recruitment. I'm excited to welcome our co-founders from Membership Bespoke, Dennis and Daniel. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm
Morning.
absolutely fine. Really looking forward to this one. Must admit, I'm a podcast fan, and this is my podcast debut. So,
Really? Oh,
having
good.
been asked to be on one, I do a long walk every morning, and I'm podcast obsessed. So
Very
to
exciting. Well,
actually
we'll
be
be
on one,
gentle. We'll be gentle with you.
yeah, some of them can go a bit spicy, but to be involved in one is an honor, and also membership is what Danny and I have dedicated our lives to, really, last 14 years. So thanks very much for inviting us.
Absolutely. Can we do Danny or are we going to do Daniel?
Daniel's good.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Only
to
Dennis
echo,
gets to call you Danny. Okay. Got it. I got it.
exactly. And just to echo what Dennis has said, yeah, this is very much what we do, working with trade associations, professional bodies, membership organisations, and where we come in and where we're the experts in is recruitment. So
Yeah.
we're advising all the time, on a daily basis, our clients, our candidates. It's a really interesting market out there at the moment, as we've been getting through 2025 and what's ahead of us this year. We're hoping that out of this podcast, there's going to be some useful sort of tips and advice that we can provide to
Yes.
various clients and candidates as they navigate themselves through the year ahead.
So where do you guys, membership is a
Sure.
global enterprise.
Yeah.
Where do you guys really focus? What markets are you most familiar with? Where are your members and clients located?
So we're London based, but we cover the whole of the UK. We pride ourselves on working with any membership organization in any department at any level. We've built a team that have experts in each one of the departments. So we've got membership experts, we've got policy experts, we've got people that are experts more in HR and
Okay.
finance and so on and so forth. And we also work temporary and contract and interim roles as well.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know what a membership organization was 14 years ago. Got a call, came into an old company that I was working for. It was the REC, actually, the Recruitment Employment Confederation.
Oh, wow.
They called in. The company that I worked for did rec to rec, so they did recruitment consultants for recruitment companies. So the REC had thought, well, they know a lot about recruitment, so perhaps they can help us because we can't find a recruitment company to help us. And someone put their hand up in the office and said, got the RSC on the phone, but have not got a clue what they're on about. And I thought, yes, that sounds good because things can get monotonous when you do the same things. And then I learned what a trade association was. I must admit, I did not know what one was until that call. But by the end of that call, I'd fallen in love. It just fits my moral compass, absolutely. The collective good is what I'm all about. But being commercial at the same time. So creating value and also creating a commercial beast, but that it reinvested money back into itself. So it's not necessarily for shareholders and owners in the UK. I know there's some difference in the US, but I just loved the fact that everything was so niche, and niche for me is interesting because you can really get to the really interesting stuff in any sector. I've learned some crazy stuff in 14 years.
Isn't it fun when you have members and clients in these very unique industries
Yeah,
and you get to kind of become a mini expert in what they
yeah,
do? Oh, I feel like I could go on Jeopardy. I know just a little bit about a lot
yeah.
of things now,
About a lot
thanks
of
to all
things,
my
yeah.
clients, right?
Yeah, and it's
Uh,
that variety that it's given us, which we absolutely love, because, like you say, you're working with so many different industries, so many different professions. It's just a brilliant sector to be involved in. One of the things that we also are so proud of is the trajectory that we've seen in the candidates that we've placed in the membership sector. So we've got so many different success stories of people that we've helped find their first job in membership, and now they're directors of membership.
Or even
Or people's
CEOs,
first
though.
job in, in
There
marketing,
you
and now
go.
they're heads of marketing, directors of marketing. So being able to be part of that journey that they've been on is fantastic, and it's something that we're really proud of as well. And then also just working with so many different clients. Some of our relationships that we've got with some of our clients in the UK are now, you know, sort of over a decade old, and that's fantastic to have that as well. And we hope that, you know, it's a relationship that's really reciprocal, because as well as us helping them out with recruitment, we're, you know, they're also benefiting from the talent that we're finding for them. So we do really, we really benefit from that and really appreciate it.
Well, yeah, 14 years. I mean, that's my Brewer Pratt Solutions is only 8 years old. So 14 years
Right.
experts, you know, I really want to, because of your expertise, I really want to focus on recruitment. And I'd love to
Sure,
know, I mean,
let's
you
do
know,
that.
we're in different environments, different
Mhm.
cultures. And what was the big 2024 takeaway on
So
in terms of
the
recruitment? What was the
yeah,
aha?
it was a tougher market. Things leveled out. There was a massive post-COVID bounce. I think that was probably global. We went from just Daniel and I to 18 staff in 18 months. So
Wow.
we 10 times the turnover of the business in 18 months, which was incredible, but also we had to do a lot of learning and developing at the same time. But at the same time, we managed to overhaul the brand. I'd probably be embarrassed to show you the old logo. We're glad we got
I love this logo. I love this
the
logo.
different backgrounds. Took us a while to come up with the idea, but we think membership is about things that you wouldn't necessarily think fit together, or people that wouldn't necessarily fit together are actually the
Yeah.
perfect match. And we believe in sort of diversity, and diversity being a positive thing. So the logo kind of, you know, represents that. But in answer to your question, the 24 takeaway for me was really sticking to our guns in terms of really promoting our expertise in each one of the verticals within a membership organization. So that because it's called Membership Bespoke, it isn't just membership departments, but we can fall into that trap. People think it's just membership directors, membership managers, but it could be anything. It can be compliance, it can be, you know, finance, lots of different areas. And that makes it really interesting, but it also you can hire a whole variety of people that can work with a different spectrum of people. Anna, our director of interim and temporary, I love one of her main expressions, which is there's a lid for every pot. So for every
I
job,
like that.
there is
I like
somebody.
that.
Yeah.
So,
That's how
well,
we
and
work
maybe,
it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, finished.
So maybe this is for Daniel.
Mm.
But I ask one question of every recruitment specialist, because it's the challenge I hear the most.
Mhm.
How do you get your board members or your volunteer leaders to recruit? Is that a
Yeah.
lost cause? How do you do that?
It's got to be
find people.
it's got to be a collaborative effort. So the key thing that happens, and where recruitment processes can fall down, is if you haven't got everybody on the same page. Notoriously, people will look to go and recruit, and they won't have everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. They won't have everybody agreeing with what the profile of the individual that we need to recruit looks like. So a collective, collaborative approach is so important. So it's about the key individuals that are going to be involved in that recruitment process, in terms of identifying that talented individual that you want to join your membership organization, but all agreeing on what that looks like, that profile, and all being in agreement on what that profile is. Not through the process, then like having to, you know, decide through the process, and where you've then got, you know, two directors or two board members that think one thing, and then you've got two board members that think another. You will get those difficulties and problems. So our best experience and our best advice to everyone we work with is, it's those key people that you're going to have involved in the decision-making process. So whether that's at board member level, whether that's at the executive level, that you have all those people involved in the initial putting together what the job profile is going to look like, deciding on what the process is going to be like. All these things have to be all done in advance, and that gets the best thing out of a process. So that's really key.
So you give
And
them
also,
the material. Go ahead. Go ahead,
sorry,
Dennis. Tell me the
sorry to
answer.
cut you off there. One of the interesting things for us is we have a board advisor, Tom Lovell, who used to be the global director of Reed, which is a massive international company. And I actually placed Tom in a role. He wanted to come out of recruitment, and I sold him basically membership and what it was all about. And I placed him in an organization in the UK, and that we built a relationship from there. So then when I knew that he'd left a previous job, I was, Tom, we need someone to come in. We need someone to help us grow, but also understand this company's about integrity, and it's not just about hyper growth. And profit comes off the back of doing good work. There's different ways you can do recruitment in the same way as there's different spectrums of the way you can approach anything. But I think really you reap what you sow in recruitment, and long-term relationships is the way forward for us.
Well, and you guys really have taken recruitment to mean every and all opportunities for recruitment.
Yeah,
We're not just
which is
talking
rare.
about membership associations and people who join and pay dues and
Yeah,
participate. I mean, you're talking about skills and subject matter expert recruitment in the
as
positions
well.
that support and sustain these organizations. How is that changed in in that professional recruitment sense? How has that
Yeah.
changed?
It's changed massively. I mean, just to give you an idea of sort of coming back to what we were talking about 2024 and what's happened in 2024, I think a lot's changed. What you can talk about when it comes to what's happened in recruitment and in the world of recruitment and staffing, you can go pre-pandemic and then you can go post-pandemic and you can go the whole period in between. And it's changed massively. The speed of change and the speed of developments from AI to hybrid working, remote working to working in an office, that whole piece is massive. And if you looked at 2024, 2024 was the first year of things beginning to reset themselves a little bit, beginning to sort of, calm down a little bit. We had all of that, 2020 into 2021, the COVID period, then just after COVID. Now that we're sort of out of that period and into the new period, you're just starting to see things settle down. And in membership organizations in the UK especially, we've started to see what recruitment looks like. But if we go back 14 years, I mean, recruitment has changed massively. I think the digital revolution's had a massive impact on recruitment. How you go about how you go about attracting talent to the clients that we represent, how we go about interacting with the membership professionals and the people within the membership sector has changed significantly. When we first started in the business, we would, do cold calling, or we would approach clients by the phone. That just doesn't work anymore. There's so many different platforms that you can now use to do.
Now you cold message them on LinkedIn now.
Yeah, absolutely,
LinkedIn,
absolutely. Yeah, and
just
there's so many different ways to do it.
effective marketing that makes them want to have a conversation with you. If you can speak their language, and many people, I always say when we have marketing related calls or meetings, is that you've got to bear in mind that a lot of these line managers will never have had such a niche email in their life. No one will have offered them someone so specific to what they do with the expertise that we have, that it will open their eyes, because there aren't any that have doing it for so long. So if you're stuck in some obscure, I don't know, engineering related organization, and then someone sends you we do compliance, but we also do compliance for electromagnetics, they'll be like, what?
I'll be like, that's me. That's me.
That's you. Yeah. Or these people can find it, and
Yeah.
trying not to be ultra salesy,
Yeah.
trying to be quality led.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Personality led.
authentic and targeted.
Yeah.
And there's that perspective from the employer, from the association, because high skilled quality individuals, they're a limited resource. But from the candidate's perspective, what's the new minimum standard? I mean, is it a video? Is it
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff was supposed to happen long ago. Now, what's a make or break for a
I
candidate?
think
What gets the candidate to the final round?
I think what happened after COVID was that there was significant salary inflation because there was so much competition. A lot of people had to make people redundant, or there was situations where people were retracting. Suddenly, everybody wanted the best people, so people started to know their worth a lot more. But then also they could be more assertive about their working practices, and that's been one of the biggest changes. Is that people now will say, I will do 3 days in the office and that's it. Whereas if he'd have said that before COVID, it would have been okay, bye, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Next.
So
Uh,
candidates have more leverage,
they have more
but there's a
leverage.
limit. There's a limit to
There
it.
is a limit. And also, I think people need to be careful about over-reliance of using AI to write the practical part of the interview process, because it's obvious. You can tell a chat GPT presentation, well, I can a mile off. So people need to be careful of that, but also they need to prepare for each interview. And I also think that, passion and honesty and being direct and open is really what we teach people, that they need to look at the job spec, they need to look at each aspect of what the job spec expects them to do, and they need at least one good example of doing it. And if they can prove that they can do each bit of the job, then they have a much higher chance of getting it. And there's no point in not answering the question. And I know that sounds a bit strange, but so many people in an interview might get asked a question, and because they don't know, they'll just answer a different one.
Yeah.
Uh,
And we
Yeah.
notice, people notice.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
candidates need to be their biggest critic. So what I mean by that is they really need to critique themselves. So that's the bit of advice I always give to candidates, because it's a very tough market out there. We really sympathise with candidates because it's very competitive, particularly at the senior end of recruitment in the membership sector. There's not so many jobs, so the competition is fierce. And by critiquing yourself, it means that if you've been involved in an interview process and it hasn't gone your way, you really try to learn from it. So you don't just then go straight into the next interview process or the next interview the next day
Do the same thing.
and do the same thing. If you can
Yeah.
learn each time you go through one of those processes and really do that, and that needs a lot of courage to sort of ask those questions of if a recruiter is representing you, or if you're even working directly, to try to get that feedback, try to find out as much honest feedback on what did I do wrong, what did I do right, where, and learn from that, and also learn from the organizations you're going for jobs with, because they're for every candidate out there, there'll be a perfect membership organization for them, the perfect industry or the perfect profession that suits them, that suits their morals, their ethics, their skill set, also their profile experience from before. There's all that consideration, and I think the key thing is the learning through the process of when you first decide you're looking for that new job, or when you first decide you need to find a new job. It's the key thing is to really try to learn as you're going through the process, and that's something that, unfortunately, because people are either really busy because they're in a job, or if they're looking for work, that it can be quite demoralizing. But the key thing is just to really just learn every time you're going through each of the steps.
Yeah. So what's the best question you've ever heard a candidate ask of the membership organization or the interviewers?
That's a really good question. There's been some good ones over the years. I think things like, what won't I like about you as a manager?
I love it. Can we ask that on dates too?
Yeah, you save a lot of time, wouldn't you?
Right.
Or
I mean, this is a relationship, right? I mean,
it is. And Daniel, my wife calls Daniel my work wife. So
yep.
14 years, a lot of people don't last that long.
There you go. There you
The
go.
questions about what will it be like to do this job? What won't I like about it? What won't I like about you? And it's not negative. It actually is turning it on the question asker, which is nothing wrong about that. And actually, I think it strengthens your case as a good candidate because you're interviewing the interviewer, which shows that you really have confidence. So things like, what are my top challenges going to be? Where's the organization got problems? Where are the issues? What do you need me to solve?
Yeah.
These
I
good
like that.
questions.
That's a good one.
My advice would always be, ask a question that demonstrates that you've done research into that question. So that you're not just asking a question, you're showing them that you've done your research, that you've really thoroughly done a deep dive into their organization. In order to be able to ask that question, you can only ask that question because you've done the research. And it's your chance to show them that you're the candidate that has done that's done the research, and that's where you get a competitive edge over one of your potential rivals for that job.
You know, you mentioned that there are not so many jobs. And again, I'm thinking of this from the association side and the member recruitment side, you know, the work that these candidates and individuals are going to end up doing.
Yeah.
What does it mean about this sector that there are not so many membership jobs?
I think it's at the senior end. So there's plenty of jobs, lower to middle to mid senior. When I say mid senior, I mean head of, is what we call it in the UK. I'm not sure if it's the same title in the US. People tend to stay in their jobs a long time in membership. There's less movement. People get comfortable in their roles. Also, I find boards in membership tend to be slightly more forgiving in terms of allowing standard performance and not necessarily growth, because they don't necessarily see the organization as a commercial being. They see it as a service provider, which it is. But then again, how do you measure that service? So then sometimes people stay in their jobs maybe too long, if I'm to be honest.
So what are the metrics? If you're the candidate and you had a previous membership job, but you didn't grow, maybe it was during COVID, whatever the case might be, you don't have statistics to demonstrate growth or success through recruitment and retention growth. What other kinds of demonstrations can you make to say, I'm good at my job, I know what I'm doing? It may not bear out in these statistics, but what else can you show?
If you're a membership professional particularly, and you can't show growth in terms of recruiting members, but you can show other things in terms of technology that you're adaptable and able to use. So CRM systems significantly used across membership. If you've got experience using a Microsoft Dynamics, or you can use Salesforce, or you can use one of the newer ones like Umi, for example, or other ones of that nature, then straight away you're going to be of interest to other membership organizations because you understand that system. Membership activities. It might be that you haven't specifically been involved in the recruitment of members, but you've watched a member go through a journey through we talk about member journeys a lot in the types of roles that we recruit for. You might have helped redesign some member benefits. You might have looked at the member value proposition and all of that. So yes, you might not have necessarily got those numbers to show that you've helped grow the membership, but you've put them in a position for growth. And that's a key thing. There's a lot of activities around membership that's as much about growing members is about making sure the members you've got, you're providing value. And that's your role as an association, is to provide that value to the members. And that's a skill set in itself. So I think that would definitely be something that's important.
So you guys mentioned that you do interim work and you also do kind of membership growth work directly for clients as well.
We don't actually find them members, but we find experts that can come in either on an interim, permanent basis to actually help grow their membership. That's a lot. We do that a lot. All organizations are looking to grow. There's one particular thing which I think differentiates us from other recruitment companies who say, yeah, we can do membership. There's a lot of people say they can do that. But I think we understand that at the core of a membership organization is perception of value. So if your members perceive the value that they're getting, and I know it sounds really basic, but actually a lot of people don't see it this way, that if they perceive the value that they're getting, and a real basic value, and I don't want to sound patronizing, but if you join a gym and you pay a subscription to a gym, but you don't go, then you
are you talking to me specifically?
No. That's why I tried to set it up.
I mean, this feels personal. This feels personal, Dennis.
Don't get that wrong. But what I mean is if you don't go, then you won't perceive any value from it. So any membership organization, the more you take part, the more you engage, the more value you will derive. So the more events you go to, the more webcasts you actually take part in, the more of the emails you do, the more of the podcasts you listen to, you will derive more value, and therefore you're more likely to continue being a member. And there aren't many people that understand that as a core value in membership. It's perception of value. So we know how to interview people and not spoon feed them that. If they can tell us that we know they're a good candidate.
Yeah. Well, and the idea of an interim membership director, membership, whatever level, senior
Yeah.
level, is interesting because I think that a lot of organizations think they can probably just do without for
Mhm.
a few months, or
Mm.
and is there a guiding principle around, if you think you're going to have this position vacant for X number of months, then we would
Yeah.
encourage you to plug in an interim.
Yeah,
Plug it.
yeah.
Sorry, Dan, go for it.
I was just going to say, it really depends on the structure of the organization and what that person is needed for. If they're in terms of looking after staff, keeping the ship steady, whilst they decide what they're going to do next, then interims can be really important. But also interims can be used in terms of projects. So if there's a particular project in that period of time that can be worked on, the interims can come in and do that, because that's what they're used to doing. So they're used to coming in and doing a project, doing a rollout, doing something that needs to be done, and actually having someone from the outside that can come in with that different point of view can be really refreshing, but also really balances out the people within the organization as well. Interims are a great idea for that. So I think anytime you've got that gap in a role where you haven't got anybody in the post, then interims are definitely an idea. And especially if you've got staff, you do need that person for them to look to at that senior level to provide the support that they need.
And there's also slightly another way of looking at it. I mean, Dan, I totally agree with you. Sometimes, skill sets vary. So if you have a membership situation where you need to revamp your membership proposition, or you need a sudden focus on membership growth, and you need to put together a strategy which is going to help you grow quickly, the person that's achieved that growth isn't necessarily then the right person to take it and run with it. So your interim person can do what they're best at, which is the big growth. But sometimes ultra sales focused people aren't the best people managers, or they aren't the best customer service operators.
Yeah.
So sometimes an interim can get you to a stage, and then you get someone normally maybe even cheaper than to take it and run with it.
Yeah.
So that works well.
So how long, again, if you're a CEO or you're a board, how long are these searches taking on average these days? How much time should you prepare if your current director has said they're preparing to retire, or you're having to deal with a vacancy? What's the market average these days?
Well, that's something that we don't want to come across braggadocious, but your average
You mean
would
if
be
average
probably,
versus if I work with Membership Bespoke?
yeah, the average would be about 3 to 6 months if you worked with a standard search firm. With Membership Bespoke is 2 weeks to 1 month.
Shut the front door.
It certainly it is.
That is, but how is that possible?
Because
Wouldn't
we've
they-
got the resourcing capability in order to do it, and it's a quality-led approach to what we do. But what we've got is we've got the systems and we've got the processes, and we've got a tried and tested method of how to do that. We've got a team of people that can support do it. But the main thing is putting together the shortlist. So I would say at the senior end of chief executive level roles, we could be looking at a little bit longer than what me and Dennis have highlighted there in terms of those 4 weeks. But for your administration to head of level, we send a shortlist within 2 weeks. Third week would be your first interviews. Fourth week would be your second interviews. By the end of the fourth week, you make an appointment, and that is our method. And that's our, and that's why we have a fill ratio for all the clients that we work with of over 85%.
Well, you better get over here to the United States immediately.
Well, we can't wait. We're really, really.
Oh, are you coming? Are you gonna start working in the US?
We are, yeah. We're busy planning. We want to come in, and we're just so looking forward to it. But we're planners, so we don't just want to do it half-heartedly.
Yeah.
So we are busy collecting data. We're also trying to learn a bit more because there's different terminology. But membership bespoke is so right for the American market.
Okay.
We
Well, if you
believe
need someone who speaks
unbelievable.
American, let me know.
I think we're gonna be we were gonna go want to be your best friend.
That's right. Well,
Laura.
and if I'm ever looking for a new co-host, I'll reach out to
Yeah,
for
no,
you
please
to you
do. We'd
guys
love
for
to.
recruitment.
And I think there's one thing that's worth explaining, that the reason why we do things quicker, your average recruitment company has 360-degree consultants. So that means that they're half salespeople and they're half delivery people. So when they have a job, they spend half their day trying to fill the job and the other half of the day trying to bring on more jobs. Whereas
Right.
Danny and I both vehemently disagree with that as a model. We think you're either a salesperson and you're sales motivated, or you are an expert at filling gaps and actually making the best introductions.
Oh my
So
God, what does this mean for me as a consultant? What does this mean for
our
me as a
account
solo
manager,
person?
you can do it, but maybe marketing, get a great marketing person and then just spend your time making great our dropout rate's very, very low because we employ in-house people from Goldman Sachs, UBS,
Yeah.
very high caliber people who are used to dealing very technical jobs and senior people, but their pleasure is about introducing the right people, not just trying to make revenue.
And our process is focused on what the market is in the UK, and we would expect the US to be reflected of that, in that the best talent are off the market quickly. If you're a good candidate, you're going to get a job quickly. So we've provided a model and a process that if the clients that we work with adopt and they work with us on and in partnership with us, and they can put aside that time in those weeks 3 and 4 to do the interviews, leave the first 2 weeks for us. That's down to us. We will always deliver a shortlist. Then in that 3rd and 4th week, it's down to them because it reflects the market. Because if you take longer and you take 5 or 6 weeks, I can promise you that come that stage of you offering that person the job, they've either already got a job or they've got 4 other offers. And that's the market, and that's not going to change, and that's what the competitive market is. But if membership organizations can work in a streamlined way that doesn't isn't affected by quality, you will still get the best candidates that are available. And that one of the things that me and Dennis are most proud of in the 14 years that we've worked with membership organizations is we've seen the talent get better. We've seen the types of individuals that thrive and that work in membership organizations get better over that period. And that's not something that we're saying we've been, we've had a part to play, but that's the membership organizations. We work closely with Trade Association Forum, and we've worked closely with other organizations of that nature. And you can just see how membership organizations are going from strength to strength. Yeah. And it's because of the talent that they've got at their disposal.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for what you do for this industry, this membership industry. Keep up the great work. We can't wait to see you over here in the United States to bring your process and your energy to open roles over here. I'm just so glad we got to do this. And Dennis and Daniel, good luck. I'll give Andrew your best.
Yeah.
And congratulations, Dennis, on your first podcast. You did great.
Do you know what? It's been an honor.
This was great. See, it's easy. Membership Bespoke should have a podcast.
They've been saying that for a while. It's because I normally can't shut up.
Well, I think we may be able to direct your energy into a podcast vessel. So, no, gentlemen, thank you so much. Keep up the great work. We'll keep an eye on how things are progressing for you. And until next time, put your recruitment and your members and your mission first.
And our US website will be launched around mid-March. So there'll be a lot of marketing around that. And hopefully that MB will become burnt into your brain. Or at least
That's right. Clients. Well, I love the new logo. Thank you. Good luck with your work marriage. I hope it continues and things go well for you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
See you.
Thanks
very much.